Welcome to another edition of Be Great Podcast, where we are speaking to so many great individuals who've done great things. And today, I have a special guest that has done some great things, that's helping so many great people. So today, I want to introduce James Heyward. How you doing, my guy?
Hey, good afternoon to you, Mr. Lonely. Good afternoon. It's great to be with you, sir.
Yes, man. If you wouldn't mind, just give a quick introduction, a little bit about yourself, and let the people know who you are.
Definitely. So I am born and raised from Sumter, South Carolina. After high school, I went directly into the Army. I wanted to be a military police soldier, following the footsteps of two law enforcement officers from my family. One was my auntie. She was a law enforcement officer in our city, and then one was my uncle. So I wanted to do that. I had a calling for service at a young age, but I wanted to improve my circumstances as well. Come from a working class family, and we wanted to find a better quality of life. So I found the military was my path forward. So after 20 years of serving in the military, the Army specifically, I got a chance to travel. I got the chance to have higher education, and that led to a path of being an educator myself. And specifically, that's how you and I met as well, right? And I started thinking about what would be my next steps after my Army career was over, right? So usually for somebody in the military, you spend about 20 to 25 years if you want to make that a career. And I knew that my body was taking a toll, so okay, what would be those next steps? So those next steps for me will be a life of education. And specifically, I was thinking about how could I give back to my community as well. So that led to me to be a social studies teacher in Fayetteville, North Carolina, when I retired from Fort Bragg. And then I started working with the Ambush Club. And the Ambush Club stands for Academics, Manhood, Brotherhood, Unity, Service, and Honor. I started thinking about what would be some of the things that I needed as a young man when I was in high school, coming from a single parent mother, needing a father figure, needing somebody to guide me through the trials and tribulations of being a young man. So I fell in on a great program at Southview High School in Hope Mills, North Carolina. And then when we moved from North Carolina to South Carolina, I just recreated that program here. And this is our fourth year of doing that.
Wow. That's good. That's good. I guess I want to go first to unpack your steps, because when a lot of young men, black men particularly, hear about the police, they kind of go the opposite direction. But if you took it as an opportunity to get involved and say, hey, I can see myself making a difference in this space. So I want you to kind of speak towards that, because now I am very understanding of how important having great officers play a part in our community. But if you can't speak to why it was for you, I know you say you had loved ones, family members who was in that role, but I'm pretty sure you probably got that kickback from your peers about that. So how did you feel that your role was going to be different, or how was you going to impact? What was that in going through your mind about why you felt like you needed to step into this role?
Definitely, right? As young males of color, no matter what neighborhood you come from, whether it's Hispanic, Asian, you always had that talk, right? You act a certain way when you get pulled over. You act a certain way when you talk to your resource officer at the high school or the middle school or whatever. Seeing my family members in law enforcement gave me a different viewpoint. But I'm not, naive to say that, okay, one bad apple can spoil the bunch, right? Mm-hmm. But I wanted to be that change maker. I wanted to see from the inside, and I wanted to be that person that could make a difference, right? I'm a TV junkie, right? I love watching TV, and one of my favorite TV shows is SWAT. Seeing how that young brother, he tried to make change from his community by joining the police force and coming up with community-oriented programs to help out his situation from the inside, right? To understand what are the key factors and the root causes of why the community and the police officers don't trust one another, right? Because doing the same thing over and over will yield the same results. So that can't happen. But being from Sumter, South Carolina, I understood that there's a lot of fairness in the justice system, and then there's a lot of unfairness in the justice system as well. When we go to the courthouse, right? Lady Justice, the statue that's outside every courthouse, Lady Justice has a blindfold on her face, which means there should be fairness for all people of color, creed, religion, no matter who they are. But we need good people within those ranks to make sure that fairness is dealt out, right? Mm-hmm. So why step back and just let somebody else handle that instead of them being part of the solution? So I wanted to be part of the solution as well. So for 20 years, I was able to be part of the solution, understood what was going on, at least at the federal side within the U.S. Army, and be a helpful change for force as well.
Yes, yeah. I think about sometimes, I didn't work directly as a law enforcement, but I have dealt with individuals who at certain employment I've had where I've had to help individuals by dealing with the situation they were dealing with, but over time they were able to face it and make some better choices. So I say that because I'm pretty sure you've had stories and situations where somebody was headed down the wrong path and you were able to help shed light and to help them through that. So let me ask you this, because I know even what you're doing now is pretty much catching people before they go down to the left to make the right choices. But how in your times when you were in law enforcement that you use it to help other individuals in a positive way? Because a lot of times we just think about officers as someone who bring correction versus actually being one to be a civil, helping people on the positive, being civil duties as well. So how do you find yourself being an impact to your community as an officer?
Definitely. So I'm definitely a retired law enforcement officer now. And then during my time as an instructor, right, I'm able to mentor my students as well. Mm-hmm. But when I was a military police soldier, we had community-oriented policing, right? What is that? That is bike patrol, right? That is resource officing, right? That is getting out there in the community and understanding what the problems are. And also is preventative programs. That's going out there to the bars, seeing who's on the verge of making a big mistake, right? Talking to those people before they get behind those wheels with the keys, before they get a DUI or DWI or whatnot, and calling their commanders, making those contacts, saving their careers, right? Because you can go the extra step with somebody, or you can just go directly from A to B and just lock them up, right? Who's that going to help? Because when you go the extra step with somebody, right, that's a little bit more paperwork. That's a little bit more hours after shift, right? That's a little bit more communication that you have to do. But that's where you help somebody and you affect their family in a positive manner, right? And I'm so thankful to be involved in this community in Lancaster County, where they have several programs for first-time offenders that are having issues with substance abuse, alcohol, opioids, because that's the thing that's a terrible issue within our country right now, where if they do certain things where they go and finish a program or so, and it's non-violent offenses, they can get their records expunged, right? Mm-hmm. So we've been doing this stuff in the military a long time ago, where we can work with their commanders to make sure that they are not getting a permanent charge on their record if they haven't harmed anybody and haven't committed a nonviolent offense. But it just takes an officer to go an extra mile, do a little bit more paperwork, and have it within their heart, within their principle and their creed, but not compromising any codes, regulations, or laws. And that's the main thing, right? Being smart on crime, but not compromising anything else, right? Because that's what we're not trying to do. We're not trying to break anything or compromise our integrity or our values as well.
That's good. That's good. So the great thing I hear you saying is basically having that individual's best interest in heart versus just trying to make sure you do your job.
Definitely.
Because we hear that a lot. Yes.
Yes, sir. The main thing with public safety officials, right? And we talk about this meta is whether it's law enforcement, and you see this in the community, be a community service organizer, right? Whether it's law enforcement, right? Whether it's firefighters, right? Whether it's EMTs, health professionals, it's protecting of life and property, right? As long as those two things are not harmed, we can work with you, right? As long as those two things are not harmed, we can work with you. Now, once those two things are an issue, if you got to take somebody to the hospital, you got to bandage them up, right? That's a report, right? Somebody got to be held accountable, right? If there's some damage to government property or personal property, right? That's a report, and we gotta work those things out for sure.
That's good. That's good. So I want to kind of tap in how we have met. We met through you doing things to mentor, to work with our young men, and I know you've been in this space for quite a little while now. I kind of want you to unpack a little bit about what first led you to want to do this, and then secondly, how you operating in this space. So what was near and dear to your heart to even make you want to think about getting involved?
Definitely. So it's amazing how you're called to serve, and what was that going to look like, and what's the particulars and what's the details about it. Like I said, growing up in a single parent home and thinking about, what would I like to have as a mentor or just an extracurricular activity. When I was in high school, I had to work at a young age. So I started working 2 weeks before my 15th birthday at a Chinese restaurant, The Dragon, South Pike Road. So some of the people in South Carolina, Sumter, South Carolina, they know what I'm talking about. It was voted the best Chinese place for about 10 years in a row. But, however, I worked all 4 years in high school, got the work ethic at a young age, so I had to help my mom. So sports was out of the question, right? Extracurricular clubs were out of the question, except for ROTC, because my mom understand the value of preparation and planning, because she knew my goal and my dream was going into the military, right? And I saw everybody that was successful in my family had some connection with the military. They was able to have a good life, able to pay for their cars and have a home and not living in Section 8 housing or anything like that, right? So I said to myself, that's my goal. That's what I wanted to do. So when came in the military, I made the conscious decision, okay, take pictures, right? When you get out of the military, you might want to be a social studies teacher, so you can bring these experiences to your students, right? You can have some credibility, right? Because being social studies is about geography, it's about people, places, and things, right? So I can have that credibility to bring those experiences to them. So when I got in the classroom, I said, okay, what else could I do, right, to give back? Now, I'm a person that has been given a lot, and a lot of people have poured into me, especially in my military career. There's so many stories that I would say that people, when I was stationed in Alaska, helped me attain my associate's degree. People let me stay at their house, and it's so many things, because I'm a believer in my Lord and Savior. I believe in Jesus Christ. So what does that look like? What are you giving back to society, right? So I said, okay, let me give back to a mentor club. My first year of teaching was during the COVID year. So I retired in June of 2020, and I was in the classroom August of 2020, and it was virtual. So we was teaching just like this, just like we're doing our interview today, right? And I tried to participate in the mentor club that they had there, and everything I tried to do, it was a no-go. It was like, no, we don't want to do that. I was like, well, let's do some turkeys and let them pick it up on the side of the sidewalk, right? That's no contact. That's no contact. They was like, nah, let's just give out some gift cards. I was like, okay, this ain't happening. So sometimes you have to make some hard decisions, right? So that decision right there led me to, because everything I tried to do to serve the young men, to be a part of that mentor club at that first school. I'm not going to name the name or anything, but that led me to say, this school ain't for me. And sometimes you got to make those hard decisions, right? So I put my name in the transfer portal. I know that term is famous now because of NCAA football and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But just think about somebody that just now came out of the military, got his first job. They want you to come back, but you say, no, thank you. I'm going to try my hat in someplace else. So I did my student teaching at Southview High School, and I loved the culture there and everything. And I interviewed that Monday. By Wednesday, I had the job. So I knew where I was going to be teaching at my next year. And then it was a great positive experience. And I had a sit-down meeting with the assistant principal that had the ambush club. He was running it for a couple of years, and then obviously with COVID, kind of things died down face-to-face. So he was like, hey, what would you like to do? So when I had my meeting with the head principal and the hiring board, they was like, hey, do you want to do some coaching? Because they always try to get a little extra out of you, right? I was like, look, I want to teach, and I want to do the mentorship. I can't tell you nothing about coaching. I never did nothing in my life. So I played basketball for 2 years for the Boys and Girls Club in middle school. That's it. That's all I could give you. They was like, okay, all right, well, talk to Mr. Such and Such when you get here. So me and the AP, we talked for 2 hours, right? This man gave me his time for 2 hours. My previous school, they couldn't remember my name. That's how bad it was, right? So I knew in my spirit I was in the right place to foster the club, promote the vision, and just continue what was on my spirit, right? So I knew I was in the right place. And we only talk about the club for 15 minutes. Everything else was about life and, hey, what could we do for each other, right? Because the thing I told him, he was like, hey, this is what we've been doing in the past. I need somebody to take over the club because of all these other duties I have. I was like, hey, I got you. What's your vision? Give me your vision. Give me my left and right limits. As long as I'm in these left and right limits, let me run with it. I come to you when I need support. I come to you when, hey, it's time for you to speak and everything. But other than that, hey, with my military background, doing events and everything, and this, Stephen, because you got your own promotion company and everything, understanding how to do an event and stuff like that, hey, got it. So my first meeting, we had 3 young men at my first meeting. I never forget it. I was like, man, I done did like 10 announcements, a couple of flyers. I was a little worried. However, by the end of the school year, we had 15 young men, and that was the 21-22 school year. We had 15 young men at our end of the year banquet, and then last school year, the 23-24 school year, we had 35 young men on stage. So it grows every year. It grew every year. And it's just been amazing. It's been a blessing. It poured into me as much as I poured into the young men. And our goal is simply allow them to find their successful next steps before graduation, right? So we bring in guest speakers such as yourself. We take them on field trips. We help them do career exploration. We do enrichment trips as well. And it keeps me young, it keeps me excited, and that's the fun part about education right there. And each year I try to get a little better, add some to my toolkit as well. My wife, she's involved with it. She talks to them as well. She has her her own spiel that she talks to them about being a doer, dreamer, or a drifter. She talks to them about content creation as well. So it's kind of like a whole family affair. Once a month, we get out there and we do volunteer work. The last volunteer event that we had was with the shelter of Lancaster, where homeless people are able to come up, get a haircut, take a shower, get some fresh, new, clean clothes, and 2 whole bags of food. And then we also fed 9 families on Wednesday, 2 whole bags of Thanksgiving baskets and a whole hot meal. So we try to give back to the community because we're so blessed as well. And that's what the Ambush Club is all about.
Man, that's awesome, my guy. And it's an honor just to be, you know, saying, be able to see what you're doing and just your heart is in it, man. So I had a chance to meet some of the young men as a part of your program, and man, I was very impressed because I'm big on future leaders, not bottom feeders. And so when you see young men, you do know because like I say, from my understanding, I live in Rock Hill, you know, in Lancaster, you hear about what goes on as far as the crime and gang activity, but it's good to see that not everybody's on that. You have some young men who are serious about their future. They have opportunities to get in the trenches, to serve the community. So it's an honor to be able to just to be a part of what you guys got going on. And what I want you to kind of lean into is because we all know that there's work in the community, but I want to leave others to so find out how can you find your way like you found yours. Because one thing I love about in the school that we know in the school is there's a very much lack of male's presence, right? Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure you can speak to that too. Just how many male presence are there in your school, and you're on the high school level, and I'm pretty sure the ratio is very small, correct?
It is, especially in my career center. So the career center is very unique, right? So we serve all 4 high schools in Lancaster County School District, where you have Andrew Jackson, Lancaster High School, Beaufort High School, and Indiana High School. All those students are able to be transported by bus to our career center to take vocational classes, right? I'm the only African American male teacher there, and then you have Mr. Martin Orr. He is the other African American male in my building as well. So, you know, there's a little limited of a diversity there, but that's okay. As long as everybody have a good heart and willing to serve the students, it'll be okay. But they have to be qualified to get up in there, right? You got to be qualified to get up in there. But I would say for anybody that wants to serve and have that spirit calling on their heart, go to your local school district page and look for mentorship opportunities, right? Go to the volunteer page, fill out the background check, do all of that stuff. Get involved, right? If you have children that are in school, make sure you meet your child's teacher, right? Because that stuff makes a difference, right? Your teacher will go the extra mile for your child if they know the parents are involved, right? But get involved with the school activities as well, because you never know how much your actual child will appreciate that as well. Because there's a lot of good things going on with all the school district, Rock Hill, York County, Fort Mill School District, and in Lancaster as well. So within this cluster that we call the upper region that we have here upstate, you know, there's a lot of good things going here. Yes, we have the activities, the negative activities, but if a kid said there's nothing to do, they're not looking hard enough. Because we got people like Mr. Steven, myself. There's a lot of after-school programs. There's Boys and Girls Club. There's sports. So there's no excuse that could be made for there's nothing to do.
Exactly. I always say when you want something, you'll find it.
Yes,
whether
sir.
good or bad, you'll find what you're looking for. So,
You'll find
but
it.
yes. So, and I love the fact you guys are not just in the classroom, but you're exposing these young men to what success. And I know we've talked about some different things, and look forward to probably partnering together with you as time goes on to expose these young men to dress for success, then different career opportunities, just different things that can actually open them up to what the future could look like for them. And so it's always a pleasure, man, just to know that you guys are doing what you're doing. And like what you said, if anybody wants to get involved, you don't have to go out there and create your own program. For me, when I started getting involved, it was when I started going to my kids' school. They had Watchdog for Dads, and you'd be surprised at what's already established if you just look. Go and tap in. You can find out other opportunities that's already there that you can just add your supply to help out versus trying to start something off from scratch. But just meeting your neighbors and loving those who in your contact anyway. Like when I go walking the dog in the morning, I make sure that I speak to the kids at the bus stop. I ain't got to have a long, drawn conversation, but you can just say, how you doing? Say a kind words. Stuff like that really does matter when you just make it your duty to leave a mark and an impression on someone else's day. So that's so important. But also I wanted to just kind of give you an opportunity just to kind of share what's some of the direction that you see yourself in the next few years, even doing with the program that you're in. What's your ambition? What's your goal to see that you can do, and also how it can impact the lives of others?
Yes, definitely. So just making sure that I get more and more entrenched within the Lancaster community and maybe on the outskirts as well, see where those opportunities lead, making sure that we get out there to York Technical College, right? Maybe do some stuff with University of South Carolina, Lancaster as well, but getting out there to the HBCUs, getting out there to the Winthrop, right? Getting out there to some of the four-year universities. We always do once a year, we do a college trip, right? So they understand the admissions requirements, but sometimes the students never been on a college campus before, right? So they can get that feel, and we always eat lunch in their cafeteria, right? So they can have that privilege, so they can see themselves actually on that campus as well. Last year we went to NC Central campus, right? And that was an amazing event right there. So this year we're looking forward to see where we're going to be going to, like in January or February time frame for our yearly college admission trip for the young men as well. But definitely that's what we're looking for, and maybe in 2 years we'll do like an overnight trip someplace where we can get them out there and exposed to like a different state, a different region or something. I'm always trying to go to DC. I had big dreams at my last school of trying to take about 30 students to Washington, D.C. for 3 nights and 4 days, but we didn't have enough funding. So, hopefully if we got a donor out there that want to help us out, go ahead and, help Mr. Heyward out.
Yes. Well, I love that right there. Definitely, that is something. I don't know when you was talking, I was thinking about D.C. I was like, that's one place, even for me, I never really had been to see how things operate. And I said, man, I would love to. I was thinking that. So hey, when we going to DC, I'm gonna be there with you. But anyway, no doubt, man. I think that's a great exposure to give these children, young men, an opportunity to see a bigger picture. And so, by all means, I'm glad you opened that door. If someone wanted to connect with what you guys are doing, wanted to be a sponsor or be a donor, how that look, what could they do to kind of, reach out and kind of connect with you guys?
Definitely. So my phone number at the Career Center is 803-285-7404. And my email is james.heyward@lcsd.k12.sc.us. All right, and our Facebook link will be in the description, and all this information will be in the description as well. So please reach out to us. We have fundraisers and all the things that we do. We do a Facebook link and post on it as well, so we can keep the community, and we can say thank you to the sponsors. I would say Camp Creek Baptist Church, they sponsored us as well with some food and a donation. Shelter of Lancaster allowed us to partner with them, so we can get our volunteer hours up and serve the community as well. Second Baptist Church. They helped us out with providing the cook Thanksgiving meal so we can give those to 9 families last Wednesday for Thanksgiving. And then Food Lion of Lancaster on Airport Road. They helped us out by giving 16 of those holiday food boxes and 8 turkeys. So there's things like that that are invaluable, right, to the club that we can't operate without, right? So 501Cs, 503Cs, and then non organizations that are nonprofit. Can exist like that, especially for schools and club organizations for education, right? So we're so thankful. And then when at the end of the year, when we have our banquet, you're going to be invited, Mr. Looney.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. Well, that's amazing, man. So I want to also, one of the biggest things I always speak on is, one thing is about how we serve, but another thing is who we become. And it's so important to have a mixture of personal development, things that's in growing our character, for we can be better as we go forth. Because it's one thing to get in the door, but the best thing is to stay in the door, because we have grown in our character, understanding that it's not about how much we receive, but how much we can be able to give. So let me have you to, if you can, speak to the heart of us as individuals, something that you tell yourself, something that you tell others and your students and your young men, that encourages them to stay focused, stay on the path of greatness. What is something that you would encourage and inspire us as people?
Yeah, I tell them every time we do an event, make sure they understand that they're not only representing themselves, they represent their families, they represent the club, they represent their school, right? But how they interact with that person sometimes can brighten that person's day, and they don't know what that person is going through, right? So everybody has their own unique individual story, right? And they're there for a reason. So sometimes when we're at these events, those people that are at those events are kind of in lesser need, right? So we got to make sure that we try to brighten their day. So make sure you come with a kind attitude. And if you can't have that kind attitude, maybe you shouldn't be out there that day, right? And it's okay, right? Something I learned through my 4 years is to who to have around me and who not to have around me as well, right? And I give this advice to any person that wants to be a mentor. Just as you want to be a mentor, the mentee needs to have a two-way direct line of communication. They need to understand and want to have that listening ear and understand and take your direction as well. Because if they don't, you're wasting your time. And sorry to be direct and candor, but our time, we talk about our time be the most precious thing as well, because usually mentors they have families, right? You're taking your time away from your families and stuff like that. So when you want to do something in that arena, you want to make sure it's worthwhile, right? Now you're going to give your time, right? You're going to do that, but you want to make sure that those mentees are worthwhile of your time as well. So if they're not going to listen, right, it's going to be very difficult, very difficult, right, for you to step away from your family and your other responsibilities to be with a group of people that just you're banging your head against the table, right? So I done experienced that before, and I had to make some changes. But it's okay, because when we know better, we do better. It's okay.
Man, you said it well, because like I said, my thing is future leaders, not bottom feeders. And you will be more willing to give your all when someone is receptive to what you're giving. And so the best way you can tell me you appreciate what I've done is by simply just doing what we're trying to accomplish, and that's give your best. And so when you show up, that makes the difference. So I want to thank you again, James, for just stepping in, coming through today, man. You gave some great information. I've learned a lot, and I hope others have learned as well. And not only did we learn, but I hope we can duplicate and go out there and be great with the information we gave you. So thank you again, and I want to thank everybody for taking time out of their schedule to chime in, and I hope everyone have a phenomenal day, and until the next time, be great.
All right. Bye-bye.